Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning, evening or afternoon, in which time you see this video. First of all, thank you for giving us today for uh, for presenting our project, group project assignment for the industrial agronomy. Our task is to explain on industrial agronomic problem and solution. So in this case, we are presenting on HAV, hand arm vibration. So my name is Muhammad Naziriza bin Ismail, and this is Kumar, Mr. Kumar, Miss Yuhayu, and Mr. Jabba will explain about themselves in their part. Okay, you can proceed to the next slide. Okay, for the instruction, I want to briefly explain to you what is agronomic. Agronomic is a process of developing or arranging product, developing a work system to workers, and etc. And the main purpose of agronomy itself is to make a work is to suitable for a man or human, and not a man suitable for the work. These are the terms that we are be learning in agronomy. We are make the word friendly user to the workers itself. And then the purpose of agronomic is to reduce the agronomic hazard or injuries, which is we have a physically hazard and mentally hazard. Some of the injuries caused by the agronomic hazard is musculoskeletal disease, which is MSD, caused by the prolonged or repeated exposure on agronomic risk factor, or in short form is ERF. HAV or hand arm vibration is one of the ERF or agronomic risk factor that have in the occupational hazard in the industrial, which is at the factory or civil types or etc. It have a long-term physical and mental health problem. Next, okay, next. Okay, in that next, the symptom of HAV itself include the sensory, which is numbness, and have a circulation about the blood pressure, about circulation, the muscular disorder, and then HAV itself is brought or caused by the vibration damage. The vibration damage to the body of the workers or participant that using the tools. And it is estimated that there are over 1 million workers in this world who are exposed to HAV, and many these workers are performing tasks that are considered dangerous or physically. It is important for us to prevent HAV from occurring, or at least minimize the risk of HAV itself for occurring at our workplace. Next. Uh, Before we go further about HAV, I need to brief you a little bit about the ergonomic risk factor or ERF. ERF are workplace situational hazard that cause wear and tear to the body of the worker itself and can cause further injuries. Some of the factor that cause injuries to the worker itself is a forceful motion when we are using a the force or motion of our body to the work, and then the adequate posture of our body when we are doing the work, the repetition working, the stationary position when we are doing work. The stationary position itself is relate to the blood circulate in our body. So we need to move around in a short time. We are using about an hour. We are using the stationary position, and we need to move around to circulate back our blood in our pressure. The direct pressure itself, the noise, the extreme temperature, the work stress itself is relate to the workload of the work to the workers itself. And then the vibration, well, what the factor vibration? These are the factor that we are be talking in this assignment group. And then the hand vibration exposure is usually the exposure from the operating the handheld power tools, such as the jackhammer, the power drill, grinder, sander, wrench, and so all of these power tools are related to the vibration itself. The high vibration tools can cause the HAV. And then the operating on a heavy machinery on working in a warehouse, the factory, construction site, and other places where the heavy machine are being used are also the factor that expose the worker to the HAV. These things will be explained. This type of tools will be explained by by my members in the next slide. Okay, next. The effect of the hazard of HAV usually we can split it into the two type of hazard, which is the short-term impact or the long-term impact. For the short-term impact, the worker actually will start feeling the effect as soon as they handle the power tools, or they may take about a few days for the worker to feel the hazard of the HAV itself. Maybe the stiffness of our shoulder, numbness, or etc. And then for the long-term impact itself, we have a numbness and other effects such as cardiovascular illness and muscular alignment, such as back pain, shoulder pain, about our the alignment of our backbone, and etc. Next. And then about the
Okay.
ergonomic solution, I will proceed to my other team members for explaining it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nas. I'm Jabbar bin Jamaluddin. I will explain more about ergonomic solution. And for ergonomic solution, we have two thing we will cover. That one is administrative approach, where monitor vibration exposure. The other one is a plan the work schedule to limit the time that employees exposed to vibration. And the third one is a correct tool, equipment selection, where's a lowest vibration tool that is suitable and can do the work efficiently. The other one is high quality tool equipment, and tool with ergonomic design and padded handle grip to assist absorb vibration also considered. Appropriate maintenance program, appropriate protective clothes according to job requirement, like wristband and glove. And the last one is mechanizing our automating the activity. Okay, for technology approach, uh, we compare three ergonomic solution. One is a OSHA checklist, where the risk factor will be least in the checklist, and will be evaluate whether that risk factor is present or not. And number two is a WISHA checklist, also same with OSHA, have to list all the risk factor, and will be uh, evaluate uh, the risk factor is present or not. And third is a HAV exposure calculator, where the our group using this HAV exposure calculator as a project team. As this HAV exposure calculator will calculate the exposure of worker to vibration. So for the next slide, I will pass to Mr. Kumar.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Kumar here. I'll continue the slides on the ergonomic solution with a HAV exposure calculator. It is a specialized instrument to assist in calculating exposure for enarm vibration. These are the instructions to use HAV calculator. Enter vibration magnitudes and exposure duration in the white areas. To calculate, press the Enter key or move the cursor to a different cell. Then the results are displayed in the light blue areas. To clear all cells, just click on the reset button. Next. So next I'll be sharing the definition of input and outputs for the calculator. Okay, as for input, there's a vibration magnitude. It's a frequency weight in RMS acceleration value meter per second square for each tool or process. And exposure duration is the total daily vibration contact time or trigger time for each tool or process. Then outputs, there's exposure points per hour. is the rate at which exposure will rise at the specified vibration magnitude. An exposure points system is a simple alternative to the A8 value for describing and managing exposures in the workspace. A8 refers to a normalized to an 8 hours reference period. Next. We'll continue with the outputs. We have exposure action value is equal to 100 points, and the exposure time value is equal to 400 points. Time to reach EAV is the time required to reach the exposure action value of 2.5. Time to reach ELV is the time required to reach the exposure limit value of 5 meter per second square. And partial exposure is the vibration exposure expressed in meter per second square and and in exposure points for each tool or process. Total exposure also in meter per second square and in exposure points are calculated from all the partial exposure. Next. Okay, user only field in the white column, vibration magnitude, the value from tool specification, and exposure duration, time duration, worker using the tools or equipment and exposed to vibration. And the vibration standards follow the United Kingdom under the Control of Vibration at Work Regulations, which produced in year 2005, based on the EU Physical Agents Vibration Directive 2002. Define and implement vibration exposure actions and limits, set at a vibration magnitude of 2.5, and the limit value is set at 5. Use A8 values, which is average vibration magnitude for an 8 hours working day. So for evaluating the results, compare the daily exposure with 2.5 and the limit value at 5 meters second square. Or compare the total exposure points with exposure action value 100 and exposure limit value of 400. Vibration exposure category. So A8 should be less than 2.5 or total exposure point should be less than 100. No need to intervene in this kind of operation. The A8 value should range from 2.5 to 5.0 or the total exposure point should be 100 to 400. Indicate that the daily exposures are higher than intervention levels but within specified ranges, which means that the worker have a high chance of suffering from hand-arm vibration syndrome and employers and businesses should take appropriate interventions. Next. Vibration exposure category. The A8 value should be more than 5 meter per second square or total exposure point should be more than 400. Indicates that the daily vibration value has exceeded the limit. Employers and businesses must reduce workers' daily exposure to this situation or adjust shift schedules or improve and replace operating tools. Otherwise, workers' health will be seriously endangered. Next, I'll hand over to you, Hayu, to continue.
Okay, thanks, Kumar. So in order to better display the calculator software, our group select 9 different tools randomly from the internet. They come from the different companies and have different usage in the industrial manufacturing. We assume the exposure duration is 8 hours, input the vibration magnitude value of each tool, and then get the outputs. From the results in the table, the value of the daily exposure and the total exposure point differ between the different tools when the working hours are fixed each day. Next. And we can also see that in the same tool with a different usage, like the front handle and the rear handle, even have the different results. Next. According to the standard, we divided the results into 3 colors. Represent the 3 categories of the exposure. The first one is green. It means the A8 is less than the 2.5 or the total exposure points is less than 100. There's no need to intervene in this kind of operation. And the next one is yellow. It means A8 is more than 2.5 and less than 5.0. The total exposure point is more than 100 and less than 400. It indicates that the daily exposures are higher than the intervention levels. And the next one is red. It means the A8 is more than 5 or the total exposure points is more than 400. It indicates that the daily vibration value has exceeded the limit. Immediate action is required. So among the networks listed in the table, the results show that most of them are yellow or red, which indicates that these tools will do harm to the operators. So the companies should take control measures like plan job scheduling or job rotation, ensure tools or the equipments in the fit conditions. When they choose hand tools, the business must be aware of the risk associated with the vibration to ensure that the workers can operate in a correct posture. And they also need to know the later maintenance and repair method of the tool. Okay, next is Jabber's conclusion.
Okay, thank you. You. Here's come conclusion parts. For conclusion, we all agree ergonomic issue should be employee priority because of ensure employee safety as well as maintain their productivity, avoid occurring high treatment costs due to ergonomic injuries, hand arm vibration or HAV. Exposed calculator helps employers to monitor employees exposure to vibration. Those early action can be taken to reduce ergonomic injuries. And the last one, the importance of ergonomic should be emphasized among workers. I think that's all from group 3. And thank you very much.